Oh, hi there, Humes. So, I had the chance to do something really cool, which I've wanted to tell you all for a very long time, and now I can finally reveal. I got the chance to play through one of the dungeons that's coming with Harrowstorm, and we played Icereach with the devs. We assembled a dream team of Jeremy Sera, who is the lead content designer, Mike Finnegan, who is the lead dungeon designer, and Rich Lambert, who's creative director for the Elder Scrolls Online, and me, a shitty Nightblade who didn't know what she was doing. But I had a really fun time. They were incredible at giving me a guided tour and letting me know all the creative side that went into making Icereach Dungeon. And also, they were just so much fun to play with. They were so funny and up for a laugh. So thank you to the devs who came and played through with me. I could not have asked for better tour guides. And I hope you guys all enjoy the video.
I guess the first big thing is this is the start to our Dark Heart of Skyrim storyline. So like last year with Season of the Dragon, all 4 updates are thematically linked, but unlike last year, all of the stories are now more interconnected. So the characters that you're going to meet in the dungeons actually follow you all the way through the entire year, which is very cool. And you're going to get a lot more you're going to get a feeling of all of these things being thematically tied and narratively tied together much stronger than previous years.
That's really cool because I think that in Elsewhere, that's what I liked about the main storyline, that we were having the same characters come along with us in the story, but seeing that from the dungeons start off would be really cool as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And we did it mainly based on player feedback too, which is, something that we always like to kind of look into and make sure we do as much as we can is to pay attention to that. You'll get a lot of context for the events that are going on, which is cool. I think Mike is in Icereach, so we could travel to him.
Alrighty.
The other big thing with this update is this is the first of the really major performance improvements that we've been working on for the last 6 months or so.
Yes.
This is the patching overhaul. I'm sure you noticed you had to re-download the entire game when you were doing PTS patching.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad though, because I was like, oh, it might take a while, but it wasn't actually that bad. And I know it's something that we've been waiting for a while, like making the game a little bit smaller is great. And it's something that new players always mention, like, wow, this game is such a huge file. And I always said, it's because it's filled with goodness. Don't worry, just leave it downloading. It's so good.
That is true. So yeah, it's 16 gigabytes smaller on PC and 30 on console, which is pretty crazy.
Nice. Wow.
And then, yeah, that allows us to, well, basically make the game load faster. It runs faster. You'll notice you'll get a lot fewer frame rate spikes, especially in higher traffic situations. And yeah, just overall load times are significantly faster, which is very, very good. This is the first of many performance improvements. If you follow the performance roadmap, there's a whole bunch of other things coming, but this is the first really big one that players are going to notice, which is awesome.
Yeah, I know you guys have been working hard on that for a long time now, so it's great to see it coming out and everybody can experience it too.
Yeah, I wish we could do it faster, but a lot of this stuff just takes a long time.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But it's great to see that everything's worked out, and I know a lot of people were very excited about that too from the announcement. Like, I was watching with the community, and they were just like, "Yes!" They're really like reducing the load screens, getting the size down smaller as well. Is something that we are really excited about. Apart from all of the new shiny stuff that's coming as well, like that really helps too.
Well, that's a really good segue. New shiny stuff.
New shiny stuff. New shiny dungeon.
It's like we planned that or something. That's great.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna pass it over to Mike and let him play tour guide, and then we'll just run around and have some fun killing stuff.
All right.
All right. So this is Icereach. This is one of the 2 dungeons in Harrowstorm, of course. The backstory behind this dungeon is this is an island. Actually, let's rewind there. If you've played the base game and you played Dire Frost, you might remember the final boss in Dire Frost was Droda of Icereach. Her story was that she was a witch. She had traveled to Dire Frost Keep, wormed her way in there, and then took over the keep. And you defeat her, and as you defeat her, you get her name, of course, Drode of Icereach. Well, this is exploring that backstory. This is the actual coven that she was a part of, the Icereach Coven. So this is an island in the middle of the Sea of Ghosts, and there's a mysterious storm that is wrecking ships and causing all kinds of havoc. So Yor and the Skald King sent an expedition here to investigate, and they haven't returned. So your job when you get here is to stop the storm and find out what happened to this expedition. And the first guy you come across is Arvnir here, and he kind of tells you, he goes, "Oh, we were doomed from the start. We landed here, and everything was bad, terrible, yada yada." So we're gonna go through and try to figure out what's going on in Icereach and what these witches are up to.
I suspect they did not survive.
Maybe
Maybe they
you
did.
Can see a lot of them as we're walking.
Oh
A lot of
no.
dead Nords. Yes, there's a lot of dead Nords.
I'll just chat to Arv quickly, I guess. Pick up his quest, otherwise he
Yeah,
might
you
not be
can
very
afford-
happy. Slow down, my man. What happened here?
Never has. Witches, keep a steady shield arm in there.
Look for survivors, if there are any.
Spoiler, there's a survivor.
Yay! One of
You'll
them
get
made
there.
it.
You'll see.
At least one, yes.
At least one, right.
But they're not here.
So some new kind of newish monsters in here. There's these like ice atronach or frost atronach animals that the witches of Icereach will summon and bring forth. So Droda very much used ice magic kind of exclusively in Dire Frost, but these witches they actually take advantage of all the elements. So some of these witches use fire, some of them will use ice, some of them will use necromancy. So they're not just beholden to ice magic.
Oh, okay.
That's
So we're gonna
pretty-
face some different challenges.
Oh yes, yes. And we much like all the other dungeons, we're really trying to tell kind of like a cohesive story that you can follow along, and every enemy that you come across has, or all the main bosses and stuff, they have their own personality and their own stuff, and I'll explain kind of what that means in this context here in a second. Don't let people die, Jeremy. Just saying.
No pressure.
Always the healer fault.
No pressure.
Always
So
the healer.
this is the first boss. This is Kjarg the Tusk Scraper. You see he's kind of chained up. Well, that witch is just teleported in. All the bosses are essentially this way. So all the bosses you get to until the final one is a witch and then their minion or partner that they help. So Kjarg Tusk Scraper here is the boss that we're going to fight, and then this witch up here in the corner is going to help out. But a lot of times when they try to help out and stuff, their abilities don't kind of interact with each other all that well. So what this witch is going to do is she's going to put tornadoes in the arena, and she's also going to summon frost astronauts, but they take a while to form. So what we are going to do, which you'll see, is we're going to use Kjarg's heavy attack, which is this big AoE heavy attack, and he's going to smash the frost atronachs before they can even form. So if you don't do that, then you have to deal with frost atronachs coming into the arena too. So that's kind of like the interplay, and she's going to get upset when he does that, and she's like, "No, you idiot, don't do that. These things are going to help you." So there's kind of that, that competitiveness and that interplay between even the bosses that you're fighting. Oops.
Wasn't me.
It was actually me. Yeah. So that's good. I guess if I accidentally pull, it's a good idea.
Let's go. So he's not
So
the
this guy will
brightest,
also-
Kjarg, right?
No, he's not. He's not a
No.
smart guy. Yeah. So he's gonna get enraged, and when he is like this, he does a ton of damage. So I'm going to be avoiding him. But he also takes more damage. This is why he kind of has more health than a normal boss would have, because we have these moments where you're going to just be able to unload a lot of damage into him. Alright, he's back to normal. If you see an ice atronach forming
back.
around the arena, tell me.
In the back, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there it is. So like this one right here, we're going to line him up And then he's gonna bada boom. Sorry.
Aha. Damaged himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's actually an achievement, I believe, for doing it the hard way.
For doing it the wrong way, yes.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, I guess that's got him. Never mind.
Yog smash.
Oh. Yep.
Finn actually wrote
To
his
get out of that.
dialogue. He's gonna tell a dad joke in just a second.
Oh god.
Who, me?
I'm
Mike?
preparing myself.
Yeah, it's well now you set me up. Now I have to, right?
I was saying you wrote the dialogue for the giant. He's gonna tell
Oh,
a
I
dad
got
joke
you.
now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I wrote the dialogue, it would be non-stop dad jokes.
Back by the exit.
Oh, yeah.
Come here, buddy. We might have missed this one. He might form up. Nope. We're good.
So close.
Ooh. So the tank's got to be quite switched on and listening to everyone else during this one. Yelling over Discord, it's over here!
And he is. Alright.
Goodbye.
There we go. So, this witch yeets out. She's like, alright, I'm out of here. We'll see her again.
Coward,
Bye.
fight us!
Why?
See you
Alright.
later.
So that's kind of the premise behind all of these. Is you're going to find that you're interacting with these bosses, and the witches are kind of helping them out in fights. And as we go through here, this is these guys are Nords. That's just where they kind of originally came from. They have their own style now, so you're going to see some stuff like these wicker totems and blood splatters on the wall and weird symbols and stuff like that kind of differentiate themselves. It's their little touches that make it homey.
Aww.
Right. They went to like Bed Bath and Beyond and got like some blood splattered towels here, and then they're like Icereach blood bath or blood bath and Beyond. That's good.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Name of a new set of items.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
It's
new
the-
bathroom items for your house.
Tamriel's household items store.
Yeah.
Blood Bath and Beyond.
Only 1,000 crowns.
There you go.
It sells itself.
Pre-blooded.
It's a bargain at twice the price.
Pre-blooded. Oh boy.
As a vampire, I'm in.
There you go. Well, you're in for 1/3 of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh.
Come here.
It's okay. Jeremy can tank too.
Alrighty. So we get to see, how they've decorated. Pretty nice. Pretty
Yeah,
nice.
I love the aesthetic of it. Like, you said that Greymoor was going to be a bit more gothic and dark. Like, that's
Yes.
very different from elsewhere. But
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing, like, a darker side of the world, too.
Yeah. So you see these guys as you're walking up. These are actually Icereach members. These aren't part of the Nords that invaded here. So, or I think there might be 1 or 2 Nords here, but for the most part, those are Icereach people that got their butts kicked, and we might see why. Come over to this grate over here, and you'll see the survivor. She's over here. A bear woman.
She's alive!
There
Who
it
is this
Lyris
stranger?
Titan. It's Lyris Titanborn, of course. So she was sent in this expedition as well, and she actually made it because
She's a
you
badass.
can't put Lyris down, right?
No one knocks Lyris out.
Nope. There she is. She's gonna smash some people.
Ooh. She's just wielding that massive axe in one hand as well.
Yep.
Just flinging it
Funny
around.
enough, though, that massive axe is actually doing this on veteran will get you that as a cosmetic reward. So if you,
Ooh.
yeah, it's the first time we've handed out a weapon style as a cosmetic reward for a dungeon, so we're pretty excited about it.
Oh wow, yeah. And you had the new like armor sets as well. But
Yes.
having some cosmetics always sounds really
Uh-huh.
fun.
And Unhallowed Graves cosmetic is body markings, which you can see on kind of like some of the monsters in there. So now we're coming to the next boss. This is where we highlight where these two sisters just do not get along. Sister Skele is a hag raven, and that's who we'll be fighting. And then Sister Hede uses fire magic, and Sister Skele though uses ice magic. So Sister Skele will try to take you out, and then Sister Hede will put fire magic in, which will counteract Sister Skele stuff. So they kind of bicker back and forth. They're very much sibling rivalry here, but like with a murderous bent. So, but knowing how those two abilities interact is important. So Skele will summon stranglers covered in ice, and that have this massive damage hit on them that you can't really damage. Until Sister Hede will put a fiery AoE around somebody. That person with that fiery AoE needs to run next to the stranglers to melt the ice so that you can then damage them. So there's a bit of interplay between what these two sisters are doing.
A fight of ice and fire.
Ice and fire, right? It's a song. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm fiery.
So you have the fire. There's no stranglers up yet, I don't think.
Gonna roast
But there
the
might be
in.
soon. Let me know if you see stranglers.
Oh, one strangler up, I think.
There it is. Yep, somebody melted it. Good job.
Aha.
Where'd she go? There she is. On veteran, they can get way out of hand if you don't handle them.
Add control.
Yep. There's a strangler behind her, but she's just gonna die. So.
Just lost the bird.
Sorry, Sister Skele.
Oh, she's dead already. Sorry, Skele.
Yep.
Her sister doesn't
So
seem to
Sister
mind.
Hede's gonna leave, and then we can go to this door, and this guy comes running in like he's saved. Wait,
Oh!
sorry, get wrecked. Does a little axe flourish, puts her axe away. So now you kind of have the opportunity where you can talk to Lyris eventually after she stops monologuing. There she goes. She's gonna investigate this table. Looks like they're doing something with rituals and stuff. So you get a little bit more information if you want to talk to her about what's kind of going on in here.
Sort of thing, clever magic. Gods know why. Maybe we call it
as Rich mentioned before, last year with Raststone, you kind of did the two dungeons, and you put the two halves of the Raststone together, and then Thariah handed it to Abner Tharn, and then she was done. She was out. You didn't see her again. And this year we wanted to really carry the stories from the dungeons further along. So if you do this dungeon, you meet Lyris here, you're going to see her later on in the chapter and stuff. There's another NPC that you meet in Unhallowed Grave, Finnegan. It's the same thing. This is a character that's going to persist throughout the story for the rest of the year. So it's not just, oh, I see him in a dungeon and then they're gone and then we don't interact with them anymore. So you get more buy-in with these characters. You've been on this adventure with them throughout the entire year. So
Yeah, and we care about them so much more when we've seen what they've been through and been on all these adventures with them.
And you'll get payoff too. The more things you've done, they'll actually respond to you.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, so will she actually know if we've done the dungeon DLCs in Greymoor? Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
She will remember. I have the option to ask her who she is. Who the heck are you? I've never met you before. But I'm glad she's back. I really missed her voice acting as well. She has really good voice acting.
She is. She's very good.
Yeah.
She's pretty awesome. And that was actually part of one of the core things. When you see her, she's just kind of wrecking face in here, just like you. Lyris is not, damsel in distress. She's not somebody that needs to be saved. We actually didn't need. We're here to help her. She's not here to help us, so to speak.
Well, I can tell you this. This storm Yorn sent us to investigate, it's not natural. These Icereach witches conjure. You're asking the wrong Nord. I've hunted enough mages
She's
to
like,
look
I don't know
for
anything
trinkets
about
that
these
work
trinkets.
something.
Don't ask me.
As for
Don't know what this
weapons,
amulet does. I'm just here to
my
smash
area of
people.
expertise.
That's exactly right.
So far, not much. That's a word.
All right,
Plenty
gotta
of
disrupt the
axe swings and-
ritual.
Ritual.
Hmm.
Hmm. So another thing that we're trying to carry over, kind of like in the world building, and as you progress through the dungeon, this is a fake black door. It's actually fixed next BTS patch. You can see it
Pure
online.
darkness.
But yeah. So as you kind of approach the different witches and the different powers that they have, you're going to see the enemies that you fight beforehand are different. So these are zombies, which means you're probably going to have to deal with a necromantic boss next. Spoiler alert.
Poison and decay.
Yeah, those exploding zombies hurt.
Oof.
Nice. So now we need to come in here. Ah!
Ah!
Oh no!
Ah, they got me! That was a close one.
Hardest pull in the game.
Surprise!
You knew that was coming, you trolls.
Absolutely knew that was coming. It's not quite as damaging on normal, but on veteran, yeah. You're not ready for that surprise. That can hurt.
Open sesame.
So this is Manny's laboratory. This is, like I said, she uses necromancy. She has this big pet flesh atronach named Virog the Shambler. So what's going to happen here is she's going to summon these little storms around these necromantic circles, and it will spawn a wraith who will then summon skeletons. So we have to kill the wraith to make sure that we don't get overwhelmed by skeleton. And go.
Oop.
This is the one that complains about your dirty feet the whole time.
Yep, she's tired of you making a mess in here.
She should have cleaned up the skeletons if that bothers her.
Hey, you know, she just has a different view of what's clean.
You with your nice smelling feet coming into my
Yes.
putrid dungeon.
Excuse me, those rags are clean. Get out of here with that.
Oh.
There's a wraith up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
By all means, we don't have to. Kill it.
We want to show the mechanics, right?
Right, we did. Success.
I was in parse mode, sorry.
You were in parse mode, you just tunnel visioned on the boss. You were like, alright, more AoEs, we're good.
It just makes Jeremy's job harder, not mine.
I'm gonna stand in this fire, Jeremy.
Ooh.
A lot going on here.
He's angry.
There is
Oh,
a
but-
lot going on. Fiery tornadoes and undead and wraiths, and there's all kinds of madness.
All different types of damage as well.
Yeah.
I suppose I should be healing. Sorry.
I mean, you know, you do you.
Can imagine in veteran you'll be dancing around quite a lot with all the
Yes,
firestorms.
you will. Yes, I would not be standing in that fire nearly as much as veteran.
Yeah,
Yes, you would. You would totally be standing in the fire.
it's warm.
It's warm, right? I felt cold. So obviously somebody left the door open because there's more ice on the walls here,
Let's keep the pressure on.
and I think I've said that before. This is basically a dungeon of like, it's a mother who's just. I mean, in the final boss is Mother Chinate, and she's just upset that you're leaving doors open, and you're not cleaning up after yourself, and
Music's too loud.
that's all it is. She's just like, ugh, cleaned up this mess. What are you guys doing in here? Stop picking on your sister.
Yeah, I think we heard a bit about her in the blog posts recently as well. There was a bit more of a write-up
there was
on her.
actually
Yeah.
the Meet the Character for her.
Yeah.
Just came out yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Mother knows best.
Mother knows best, right? See, we're leaving doors open. It's just gonna make her mad, guys. It's just gonna make
So
her mad.
mad.
Yeah.
Oh, the
What it is,
environment
she
here is really
hates a
cool.
draft. The what?
The environment, just looking out
Oh,
across the
yes.
mountains and everything.
Uh-huh. So this is an island, but it's a fairly large island in the middle of the Sea of Ghosts, and we wanted to kind of sell that aesthetic of you're still traversing outside. There's these ramparts. The island looks bigger than even the part you can traverse. So
I do like that about ESO dungeons, because in so many games that I've played, if you go into a dungeon, it's always just this dark cave, and you never
Right.
get a sense of where you are in the world. I think especially in the Elsewhere dungeons, when we came out into the environments and everything, we were fighting
Yeah.
like on the side of a mountain or
Right.
in the middle of a desert. It was really cool as well, because you get an idea of where you are in the world.
yeah, and part of what even when we have dungeons like Depths of Malatar, you kind of enter through a cave. Not Depths of Malatar, I'm sorry, Unhallowed Grave, the other dungeon in Harrowstorm. Even though you enter kind of through a cave, there's parts where it opens up and you can see the sky and stuff. So we want to give you that kind of like in and out. So this is Lyris wrecking this dude and then running off.
Come on.
So we're gonna run in here, and this Stormborn Revenant is actually gonna get resurrected here.
Oh
By
no.
his witch friend.
Arise and fight on, champion.
So this guy's gonna summon Storm Atronachs, which have to be defeated. So keep an eye on those. He also will jump around. If you thought you were dancing on the last fight, get ready.
Ready to dance.
'Cause
The
he's gonna
storm's
put some
coming.
lightning AoEs that you're gonna have to dance around and not get hit by. There's gonna be
Woohoo! Yes, AoE.
yes, quite a few.
I'm just doing VMA for the first time right now, so
Oh.
I'm learning how to dodge and everything and
Oh, that's
getting
a treat.
used to it. The thing is, like, but when I learned how hard it was, and everyone would always go on about how hard it was, I was thinking, oh no, this is impossible, I'm never going to be able to do this, but it's taught me so much about dungeons as a player.
Oh yeah.
How to dodge and like when to interrupt and that kind of thing, because you have to do
Yep.
it all by yourself in VMA. So it's kind of helped me get a tiny bit better.
Yep.
Still
I
learning.
mean, that's kind of like the beauty of VMA and that kind of content. That's you do become a better player after playing with it.
Oh
Can't
yeah.
rely on anyone else or get carried really, so. Oh. More ice mobs.
I haven't seen an Atronach yet.
Yeah, we killed it. One
Oh,
over.
did you kill it already?
Oh, you're fast.
I mean, I'll leave this one up if you want.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, near the gate.
Bad things happen if you let them stay up for a while.
Yep.
And as much as I love making Jeremy work,
We don't like dying.
yeah.
Not good.
Jump.
Oh, 3 of them.
Another store Atronachs. All right, burn him. This is the challenge to healer part.
Oh no.
You all are in big trouble. I mean, I got this.
That's what that sounded like to me. It sounded like confidence. All right, success.
Oh, hey.
Now I need to charge my.
So proud. You have no idea what kind of force.
So Lyris is gonna sit here and talk to this sister.
I'll knock that pretty head
And say,
clean
you
off your
guys are
shoulders.
failures. She's like, I'm out of here.
When our ally spreads his wings over the world, you lose so much more than
She's
your
so
life.
disappointed.
Yes.
Crumbs. Come on.
So now we can walk out here,
Much farther.
and Lyris will join us as well. Hold on. Here she is.
Lyris smash.
So we can't get over there, but Lyris is like, I got
You kill
this.
those witches.
Go kill the witches.
Whoa.
I'm gonna wreck these fools. Boom. All
That was
right,
a big
do
jump.
it. Yeah, it was.
It's those Lyris thighs. Jumps for miles.
Those muscles aren't for show, or just
True.
for show. So you can kind of get a glimpse of like the final boss and the final boss area from here. If you, after we kill these, I'll point it out. So if you look down there, that's where the final boss is. And you see that they're kind of like performing some ritual. So the final boss is actually all of the sisters that you previously saw, and Mama C,
Our patrons
All at once.
all at once.
Ooh, all the different elements together.
Yep. And in hard mode, they also bring their other mechanics. So like the giant, the stranglers, they bring all that stuff together too.
Oh wow, a lot to deal with.
Yep. Yep. So here we go. This is the kind of the storm that they're summoning, and this is part of like putting these two dungeons together. It fills you in, and you kind of when you do the two dungeons and then you do the prologue quest, you kind of get an idea of what an actual Harrowstorm is and how it all fits together. And then we carry that forward in the chapter where it really reinforces what it is. So it's part this storm, and it's part some of the pieces you get from or some of the stuff that you see in Unhallowed Grave, and then it's all put together in the prologue, and then really comes to fruition in the chapter. So let's go down here and get these started. So these sisters are going to jump into the arena, and we have to take them out, cycle through them one by one, because one of them is going to be shielded, and then, or I'm sorry, 3 of them are going to be shielded, and then each one of them is going to be available to be attacked. So like this.
Ah.
Boom. And they're going to do all their stuff, so you're going to see frosty tornadoes and fire and all kinds of stuff going on. Lightning. So we take one out, and then the next one out. And then after we do this, they're going to shield again, and they're all going to channel an ability, a storm, that we have to interrupt. And then we have to do this again. So as we take out each one of these sisters, you can see the health bar at the top. That's Mama C's health bar.
Ah. And Mama's gonna get angry.
Yeah,
Might
so
taste visit.
we're kind of slowly defeating her by taking out her minions here. Now they're done, so now we have to interrupt.
Achievement unlocked. Swift silencer.
Oh,
Definitely
you got
wasn't
the,
me.
No, what it is if you interrupt all of them within a certain time, get that achievement.
Nice.
Yeah. I think we already had it, so we didn't see it. Interrupt.
Ooh. I'm just still doing the Firestorm on players, so I can imagine if the ads are
Yep.
out, you have to focus on that as well.
Yep. And the lightning storms. Mass hysteria. Oh, Mama C's here.
She came to see us.
Yes.
Hey, Mama C.
So this is the phase where if we don't do that, then she summons the big storm. We all get killed. But we have defeated Mama C, and
Oh well.
they're all dead. So that is Icereach. You defeated the Coven, but this isn't the last you actually see of the Icereach Coven. Much like the NPCs that you meet and you adventure with, some of these enemies, specifically the Icereach Coven, you're going to see later on in the year, because they do play an important part.
So they're coming back. We haven't quite thoughted all of them.
I mean, you kind of defeated their leadership structure, right? With Mama C, you kind of defeated her, and that's their leader. But she's already sent other members of the Coven out into the world.
Yeah. And they're gonna want revenge.
Maybe.
Maybe a little bit of revenge.
They have a plan.
Maybe.
They definitely have a plan.
I got her head as a trophy as well.
Yes, you do.
Hang that
You
in
get
my
her
house.
head as a trophy. And then, yes, and if you see her mask, a really cool looking mask, that is actually the monster helm for doing this in Veteran. The monster, the Undaunted helm and shoulder for doing this in Veteran. Such a cool design. And actually each one of these sisters has a different helmet, a different kind of unique helmet.
So, do you have any questions for us? Did Mike
Ooh.
explain enough?
There was a really good explanation of each boss as well. I guess just what mechanics are you particularly excited about from the new dungeons? Are there any bosses that really stand out in terms of challenging players?
So I really like for this dungeon in particular. I really like the interplay with story and mechanics that we have on several of these, where the mechanic that the witch is putting into the fight. Somebody's in trouble.
Oh no, it's the Elven God. They're after me.
So I really like the mechanics where the witch is putting something in arena and counteracts something that the boss is doing. So there's this kind of back and forth, and it's story driven, but it's also mechanically makes it, or we like the mechanic, but then it's also story driven. It makes sense with the story of these kind of competition elements to it. This also, when we go into and develop a fight, there's a lot of different factors that we play into it. Is this and I like how the final bosses in particular for these two dungeons kind of are two different design philosophies. So in Unhallowed Grave, it's very much a mastery curve and learning the mastery, and kind of when you get everything down, you're like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen. It's just doing everything right. And in this fight, it's much more organized chaos. There's a lot happening, and the design philosophy behind it is you need to manage the chaos. It's not gonna be a situation where it's like, oh, I know everything's coming out at the exact same time and all that stuff. No, it's not. There's a lot of kind of randomized elements to it, and learning how to deal with that is the difficulty of this fight.
Yeah, so rather than learning set moves, you're just dealing with everything that's going on in this game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this ability is coming out. You don't know where it's going to come out. You don't know when it's going to come out. You don't know who it's going to target. So it's not a matter of kind of managing and saying, I know that it's going to happen in this order. We just have to do these things. It's more of, we know something's going to happen. We don't know when, so we just have to manage it when it happens.
Yeah, a lot of unpredictability.
Right.
And then I guess the only other thing would be story. I guess you have some more freedom with ESO as well in this time period, because it's so long before the Skyrim that we all know. But in what way do you think this is gonna lead into a different Skyrim? How are we gonna see things set up for Greymoor, really?
The two dungeons in and of themselves, kind of like Wrathstone last year, you get basically two parts of one of the major beats. you know, the Harrowstorms themselves. You know, you kind of learn a little bit about what the witches are doing here, and then you learn a little bit about what's going on and who the group was and why they're going to Unhallowed Grave.
Yeah.
And then that ties in nicely with the prologue quest, which then leads even more into the overall story in Greymoor.
So you're kind of learning the reasons why all these things happen in Greymoor. Yeah.
And so you can do them kind of in any order you want. Like you could just go straight to Greymoor and play through the Greymoor story and it'll make sense. But if you do the dungeons and the prologue before, you'll have even more context and more backstory and learn more about how all of the individual parts kind of come together as a whole.
And contrary to kind of what we did in Wrathstone, so in Wrathstone you go through and you get two halves of Wrathstone. You kind of look at it and you go, oh, I get it. It's two halves of a Wrathstone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I imagine you're going to put these two halves together and that's going to be a thing. Whereas in these two, you really don't. You're doing this and you're kind of stopping the storm, and Lyris has investigated some things. And then when you go to Unhallowed Grave, you kind of defeat the Draugr, which is the name of the band of Nord mercenaries that are there, and you see some of the elements, but you're not sure necessarily how this is all going to fit together. And I like that as kind of like an appetizer for the prologue and in the main story of Greymoor, because when you see it all put together, you're like, it all makes sense now. It completely makes sense. But it doesn't necessarily before you get that piece.
Yeah. And it takes you by surprise. I like that, because when I looked at the dungeons, the two ones that came with this DLC, I was like, wow, they're so different, because like Icereach, you know, Frozen North, and maybe more what we'd expect from Skyrim, and then Unhallowed Grave is like the complete opposite, and it's, you know, dealing with ancient relics instead. So I like having that contrast and not having two dungeons that are really similar, having something different.
Right.
They are very, very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Greymoor is going to be very exciting. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Little tasty morsel, like you didn't know that was coming, right? Greymoor's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. This was a blast.
Thank you for having me. I didn't know what to expect.
sure
It's
thing.
my first time doing Dungeons with the devs, so I was like, oh no, what's it gonna be like? I don't have to play really well. Just mash all the buttons.
Right. DPS checks when you want a dungeon with the devs.
Yeah. I'm out of the dungeon group. I didn't pull enough. Get out of here.
All right, what's your parse? All right, get out.
God.
I'm sorry.